Eyes is open, bro. I don't know why it does that.
You know, I haven't sang this song in a while, Mike, but it seems like it's very relevant right now.
Go ahead. Give me the note. Give me the note. I need the note. Something.
Do 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 do. Oh, do 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 do. Hey, do 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 do. Living in the COVID 19. Anybody else living in the COVID
19. Sheltered in place.
do 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 do.
Keeping my distance. Wow.
Ooh.
Wow. It's time for this thing to end.
Preach, brother.
Time for this thing to end.
Preach. It's time for this thing to end.
Yo, it is time for this thing to freaking end.
You know, it's hot. It's the summertime. But we are still in a pandemic, y'all.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys for taking the time out of your day to come to Double M on a nice Tuesday evening, windy Tuesday evening up here where we are.
Tuesday evening.
You got Mr. Mike Nice in the building as always.
At home edition. I'm back.
Yes, it got this DJ Me, and it's weird where we are right now. We are in August. We've been quarantined since what? March.
Mid-March, late March.
Quarantine thing since March. We're just fast forwarding through months right now. And COVID, if anything, is just as prevalent as it was way back in the months when we were talking about it. And it's scary, man. It's scary because we get it. We all want to be outside.
Yeah.
We all want to do things and go back to how things used to be.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, numbers are rising. And at first it was just in the South, but now up here in North where we are located in, things are changing once again. Talking about restaurants might start closing up. If you leave anywhere, you might have to go get tested and quarantine yourself for 14 days. And rules are becoming a lot stricter than they were. And while we were doing this show live, did I just see Jason Tatum leave?
I don't know. Jason Tatum walk into the locker room.
Ah, man. That's the thing about doing live shows.
Yeah, you never know what happens.
Live shows during the bubble. And one thing, before we get the show started, one thing I like about this bubble thing, Mike, the games are all day.
I like these early afternoon games.
Like, NBA's got to find a way going in the future to implement having some 2 p.m., 4 p.m. games.
It's tough to do that during the week, especially when you want fans to be there. It's tough to do that.
But when there's no fans.
But there's no fans? Oh, my goodness. Get the game started noon, 1 o'clock, 11 if you're feeling good.
I like it.
11 a.m. if you want to.
I like being at work from home and having a game in the background to watch.
It's a good feeling. It definitely is a good feeling when you can just, bam, games right there for you to tune in and watch. But, yeah, this is Double M. You know, we're here at home, like we said. And if there's one thing that really doesn't look like it's stopping or slowing down despite everything going with COVID right now and, you know, places possibly getting shut down and different things taking place, sports is back.
Sports is back.
Sports is back. Basketball is underway, as Marv just, spoke about, games happening during the day. Baseball. Lord knows baseball having a lot of problems right now in their league with COVID, due to COVID. Football is trying to get started.
Training camps has been opening up. Players have checked in.
Players have checked into their teams' facilities, getting ready to go for the season. NHL is underway as well. Sports is back. If there's one thing that seems to not be slowing down during this pandemic time, during this COVID time, is sports. And that's, something we definitely want to talk about here on this show. Along with anybody tuned in, once again, we're on YouTube, we're on IG, we're on Facebook. Drop your comments, questions, any of that, all of that into the comment section. And we'll talk about it, we'll speak on it. But Marvin and I upon sports, kick it off first on the playlist for tonight. And again, the bubble going down right now. Uh, honestly, from just a quick glance of the bubble, I know we kind of talked about this a little bit last show as well, but from a quick glance of the bubble, NBA has seemed to, in a sense, figure it out.
They've done a great job. NBA have done a great job.
NBA has done a solid job, first and foremost, in putting this bubble together. Trying to keep players, coaches, staff, media members, camera crew, everybody involved in down there. Seems as the NBA has done a solid job in putting it together and trying to keep everybody safe down in Orlando in this bubble, first and foremost. Second of all, NBA has stayed true to their word in terms of making sure that the Black Lives Matter, movement has not gone by the wayside, and they've kept it prevalent with everything they're doing. They got it stamped on the court. Players have different statements on their jerseys. Before every game, they're showing, a video clip of different players from the league making comments and, showing them when they went on marches and whatnot. Players are kneeling during the national anthem, which is something a topic I definitely want to get into. But in terms of just everything the NBA is doing right now in the current climate that we're in, they seem to be doing it right, Marv.
No, NBA has done it the right way. If you guys been following the show, I've been saying how much I do not want the NBA to come back due to the fact that what's going on in the world, and I don't think it's necessary right now. We want to keep all these players safe and their families safe, but this bubble system is seeming like they are doing it the right way, and it's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah, big time.
It's a lot, and we're not even talking about. Let's get the players and the coaches out the way. All right, we know they're sacrificing a lot. Man, we're talking about the cameramen, the reporters, all these people who also have to be stuck in this bubble to make all of this work. The analysts, the ball boys, or whoever they got, all these little people who are working in Disney. Everyone's got to stay in this bubble for several weeks and possibly months for this to work. And imagine you're just a damn cameraman. What the hell are you doing for the rest of the day? You just hanging out with the other cameramen? Yeah. And one thing I know that I was watching on Chris Mannix on Dan Patrick, they was talking about, there's no bars. There's no bars there. Like, if you want to get your drinks or whatever, you got to order them. There's lounges, like there's little game lounges and stuff like that. But, that's going to be prioritized to the players and the coaches and things like that. You're a damn cameraman. What are you doing in this bubble right now? It's got to suck.
Yeah, it's not living comfortably in a sense. I mean, yeah, you're comfortable as Orlando, Disney, whatever. But in terms of life, daily lives and things you're doing, unless there's a game where you're assigned to a game where you're working, I don't know what it's really like. Like, I wish, honestly, we can get some more, that side of it. We're hearing how the players are living, but obviously,
this 30 for 30 on the NBA bubble is about to be crazy.
Would love to hear how everybody else who is not a player or a coach or trainer or whatever, how they're living.
Trainers as well. Yeah, man, it's a lot of sacrifice, and that's something we don't put in account when we think about other teams, and I mean other sports. Like, why don't they do a bubble, and why can't they? This is what, $1 billion bubble. Yep. $1 billion bubble to try to make this work, and NBA is still probably losing a lot of money by doing this due to the fact that there's no fans, and the fact that you're playing games at 2 p.m. and not everyone's going to be able to watch a 2 p.m. game and whatnot. So there's a lot of sacrifice that's going into it. But presentation-wise, there are times where I catch myself watching these games and I forget it's not a normal game. Like, I'm here getting mad, cheering, supporting my team. When a big play happens, it seems like it's as normal as it can be. And I enjoyed how the NBA has been doing this so far. The one thing, and on cue, the one thing I just don't like is the damn coaching, those coaching questionnaires that they be doing at the end of the quarters.
Yeah.
And they have the coaches distance like 12 feet apart from the reporter. It just visually is not appealing to the eyes whatsoever. But other than that, presentation-wise, Black Lives Matter, what they've been doing with the virtual fans and having
That's
their
true. I like
families
that.
out there. You seen Paul Pierce with the Celtics, like that's cool. That's fun, and they're finding different ways to make it all right.
So another thing that's
What's going on, J Matt?
popping. Another thing that obviously has come up within the games or whatnot. Again, we talked about a little how NBA has not really missed a beat in trying to keep the Black Lives Matter movement, prevalent within their presentation, everything they're doing. There's been a couple players, and especially one player in particular, Jonathan Isaac of the Orlando Magic. While it seems as if every player coach is in a sense, almost every player and a coach is in a sense in solidarity with, making a kneeling during the anthem and whatnot. Jonathan Isaac of the Orlando Magic, took a stand, and one, he did not want to kneel during the anthem with the rest of his teammates and the other team. And two, he didn't even want to wear a Black Lives Matter shirt. His reasons were religious in terms of he doesn't think he needs to make a stance or do those things. Even though he supports him, he doesn't think that he needs to do those things to show where he stands or whatnot. And again, he's taking a lot of backlash from a lot of people who feel as if, hey, your team's doing it. You need to be down there with them. Should be in solidarity with your teammates and whatnot. I have my thoughts and feelings on it for sure. Definitely want to kick it off to you, see how you feel in terms of him doing it. I mean, not only him, obviously he'll take some backlash because he's a black player. You got a guy like Miles Leonard from the Miami Heat who also has chosen not to kneel, and he has his reasons as well, which he claims, it's because his patriotism, and even though he knows kneeling for the national anthem has nothing to do with the armed forces, he just wants to pay respect for the armed forces and stand up. Those are his comments. But again, this goes out to everybody who's tuned in right now. And again, Marv, I'll kick it off to you for sure.
Yeah, so to start off with Jonathan Isaac, young basketball player, talented player. Unfortunately, prayers go out to him.
That is true.
He tore his ACL, and I saw a lot of joke go out to him for that, and that's unnecessary. Prayers go out to Jonathan Isaac. If you don't know who Isaac is, like him just saying he's religious, like that's a future pastor. He's very into the Lord, and if you follow him on any type of social media and things like that, very well spoke when it comes to speaking of his Lord and Savior and how he carries himself of that nature. For people who just thought it might be just like a game, nah, he's really, like, I can easily see when he retires, he has his own church and he starts preaching. That's just the person that he is. With that being said, his explanation on why he wouldn't take the knee or wear the Black Lives Matter shirt was a little off base to me. So he mentioned how, he doesn't need to prove to anybody that he believes that Black Lives Matter, because he knows that, the Lord and Savior, he speaks to him, and if he speaks to him, he knows where the right path is, and that the Lord understands that all lives should matter. In a sense, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he was getting off, and I respect it 100%. There's gonna be people who are out there who, when we talked about on the show, are just gonna jump on the wave because it's the right thing to say, it's the right thing to do. Black Lives Matter. We're gonna jump on it because it's the right thing to do. He's saying, hey, I believe it's the right thing to do. And he obviously understood that he was going to have a platform for not, kneeling. Instead, he knew that question is going to be asked, and he was able to speak on it. But my thing is, say you didn't want to kneel, or say you didn't want to wear the Black Lives Matter shirt. I want you to you would want to show solidarity with your teammates. Somehow, some way, show solidarity with your teammates. Miles Leonard, the man who you mentioned, he's standing up for his forefathers who fought in the war and things, and he wants to pay his respects to them. But he's also in solidarity with his teammates. He's wearing the Black Lives Matter shirt. He has his hand on them to recognize, what's going on. That's showing solidarity. I'm not one to bash someone for not taking the knee, just like we didn't want anybody bashing players for taking the knee. So I'm not bashing them for that. It shows solidarity of what you're doing. Jonathan, it's just not a good look when you're standing and you're wearing your jersey with your name. You're wearing your jersey with your name on it, but you're not have the Black Lives Matter shirt or anything like that to show solidarity with your black brothers, your black teammates that you're. And that's what bothered me a little bit about it. It came off as offstanding. I understand what he said about his Lord and Savior, and I respect it a lot. I just wish that he showed more solidarity with his teammates.
Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail right on the head in terms of the way I feel as well. I'm not going to sit here and look at players in any sport who are choosing not to kneel right now and say, oh, why aren't they kneeling? They should be kneeling because, that's the thing right now. It's to kneel during the national anthem. Like, that's not where I was at when I saw him do that. Again, whether it's Miles Leonard or even players in other sports who, they have their personal reasons why they do not want to kneel for the national anthem. I understand that. But at the same time, like you mentioned about Miles Leonard, or I've seen other guys in other sports, they're right next to somebody who's kneeling with a hand on their shoulder. Or they're wearing, a shirt or T-shirt that says
there's nothing
wrong. Like maybe they're not on their knee next to their teammate, but they have a hand on their shoulder to at least symbolize I'm with them. I'm not kneeling because of my own reasons, but I'm with my fellow teammate, my fellow brother, or sister in terms of WNBA and whatnot, who's doing this as well. If I remember correctly, Isaac just stood there by himself, hands behind his back. He didn't kneel, nothing, just his regular jersey. And my thing is not even looking at, because of Black Lives Matter and the anthem, just didn't show solidarity with his brothers who he goes to battle with every night. You're on this team, your team is choosing to make a statement in terms of, kneeling during the national anthem. Again, if you don't want to kneel, okay, but show that you're with your brothers in some way, shape, or form. Him saying he believes his Lord and Savior and all lives matter, I hear that. I understand it wholeheartedly. But just the fact that you didn't show any kind of solidarity with your brothers who you are with throughout the season, who you battle with on the court, that you sweat with, you bleed with, whatnot, that rubbed me the wrong way.
And it's during the national anthem, right? It's something that had, not to say it has nothing to do with his statement, but you can still believe everything that Jonathan Isaac believed in and have something where you're shown that what's going on in this world, you understand what's happening in this world, and you're in solidarity during the national anthem. Like, I don't know where the correlation of the two fit together on it. Maybe I need to go back and really listen to what he said. Once again, all the respect to Jonathan Isaac, I just felt like the presentation didn't come off as good. I don't know how his teammates felt about it. I know me, as being a teammate of his, I would have felt something. I would have felt some type of way, or definitely had a conversation with him. Maybe he did have conversations with his teammates and understanding, we are not in there. But yeah, that was my initial thought. That's how I feel right now during this whole thing. Once again, he just tore his ACL, which is horrible. People were making some real unspirited jokes about it. Oh, because he didn't want to take a knee, now they took his knee. It was just,
that's wrong.
It's
man.
wrong.
That's wrong.
It's wrong. And as black people, we have to understand that there's many different ways about going about this movement. Like, it's cool what the NBA is doing. It's real cool how the players are coming out, and even when questions are directed to them, they're bringing up Breonna Taylor, they're bringing up George Floyd, and they're constantly putting pressure on what's happening. That is amazing, because in order to cause change, you need to bring pressure. So I love it. But at the end of the day, taking a knee is not going to solve all our problems. So we can't just throw out hate on a young black man who, especially for his reasoning, is because he wants to go on the path of the Lord and Savior. Is this something that he's going to look back in 10 years ago, maybe change his mind? Who knows? We don't. It's not up to us. We just need to hear out his explanation and understand that this is still a young black man who at any time can go through what we are seeing that's happening to people every day in this world. So we really need to, be cognizant of what's going on, and not everyone's going on the path that we would want them to go through. It's not one way of doing this.
Hear that for sure. I think I saw some comments over on IG, if I'm not mistaken.
J Max saying he agrees, it wasn't a good look on Isaac standing on and not wearing the Black Lives Matter shirt.
Yeah. Again, unfortunately, he probably won't be with the team moving forward because of his injury, which again is very unfortunate. But who knows how conversations have went with him and his teammates, family, friends, who knows? Because it obviously once he did that, it took the spotlight of the game or the team or whatever.
Right.
Like, it made headlines. But prayers up to him and his injury. Pray for speedy recovery. But just getting back now to just NBA in general, just getting a little bit more to the sports side of things. Excuse me, and how the sport is looking. The restart, obviously teams are back. Some teams are missing some players. Players have decided to opt out and whatnot. But for the most part, each team is intact, especially the top teams. They're all intact. Since it's only about 3-4 games in now.
Yep.
Have you seen? Is there anything that really stood out to you with this restart? Like, okay, this team has looked a little different now. Or, oh, this team. We'll definitely get into the Celtics. We ain't shying away from the Celtics on this show. We are going to talk Celtics, but just the overall look of things. Is there any team that really?
They are who we thought they were. Teams. I'm impressed about the team's conditioning. How you watch these games and every team looks pretty good. Every team looks like what they looked like prior, other than the Portland Trailblazers. Portland Trailblazers is a top 5 Western Conference team when they're healthy. When they got Nurkic in there, you bring in Zach Collins, Whiteside off the bench, and they're all healthy. Blazers are a different team. Unfortunately, I don't know if they'll make it to the playoffs due to how they're starting from way back. Yeah. But Blazers, that's one team that's a different animal when they're healthy. We saw, the game against the Celtics and that comeback that they did. We know what Damian Lillard has become in this league. When you speak about top point guards in this league, Dame's name does no longer gets missed, if not top 3, top 5 point guard in the game. So Blazers is one team that, now that they're fully healthy, we get a good look at what they are. But other than that, no game I've watched so far, seen the results of, has really shocked me, has really surprised me in that sense. And I'm leaving out the Celtics for obvious reasons.
Yeah. You just mentioned the Portland Trailblazers. I definitely want to shout out even more the Toronto Raptors, the defending champion Toronto Raptors, who, they were having a solid season all along. Like, I'm not saying this as if, the Raptors came out of nowhere and I want to talk about them now. I think, if anything, that first game they had against the Lakers was just a reminder to people like, yeah, we're still a team to be reckoned with. Because, mind you, Lakers are the top seed in the West. They've secured the number 1 seed in the West. But they had a game against the Raptors had a game against the Lakers where they showed people like, look, we're still a team to be reckoned with. And even LeBron had to come out in the post-game comments like, look, this team is still nice. People might have think, oh, they're only good or have got as far as they did last year because of Kawhi, and they're not going to be the same. No. Raptors had guys who have stepped up. They had guys who stepped up last year next to Kawhi, and those same guys who stepped up last year next to Kawhi have taken another step on top of the fact that you still have an all-star player in Kyle Lowry who has elevated his game some. So Raptors are a team to, continue to look out for.
Yeah, so Derek asked if we think the Raptors are slept on. Not at all. I mean, if you watch the NBA, to someone who knows the NBA, I think you understand by now. You should understand what the Raptors do, man. Oh my goodness, sorry, the Celtics are playing live right now. Entice this on wild, but the Raptors are tough. You just brought up the run that they had last year, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about young players that just went on a championship run. They've seen it all now. They had that caliber, and they were good for maybe 3, 4, 5 years prior to it. Is they couldn't get over the LeBron hump.
Yeah.
They couldn't get over the LeBron hump. LeBron went to the West, and now it's like they believe that they can beat anyone. Another play that no one's talking about, Kyle Lowry's play. No one wants to bring it up. No one ever wants to bring it up because it's Kyle Lowry. But Kyle Lowry is nice. The dude is nice. He won them a shit last year. Everyone wants to bring up Kawhi. If you remember Kyle Lowry game 6, he won that shit. So that team is tough. They play hard on defense. Siakam's emerging. You got what's it? Anunoby.
Ibaka's solid.
They're so on defense. Ibaka.
They have a solid interior.
Van Fleet is that guy. Once he's on, once he's hot, it's hard. They're hard to stop. Yeah. I said it before when I thought the Celtics were just gonna take over the East. The one team that fears me in the East was not Milwaukee. Milwaukee doesn't scare me. It's Toronto Raptors because of their size and how they can play both ways. They can play fast if they need to. They can play small ball, or they can play big. Because you forget they have Marc Gasol, who's still solid in this league right now. So yes, the Raptors are going to be a fun. I'm interested to see how far the Raptors can go. Next question we got: how about the Rockets with their small lineup? Yo, prior to right before the pandemic. That small lineup's a force.
I hate the Rockets.
That small line, you can hate them all you want. Westbrook has turned up since they got rid of, I'm forgetting homie's name now.
Clint Capella?
Capella. Since they got rid of Capella, they brought Covington in, another 3-and-D guy to add with Daniel House, to add with Eric Gordon, who hasn't even played during this thing yet. Rockets are nasty, and the fact that they beat the Bucks by getting out rebounded by 29, they got out rebounded by 29 times. Rockets are scary, and I think I tweeted this, or I said this to someone the other day. I really want a Rockets Lakers playoff series. I want it bad because it's two opposite type of teams. You got the Lakers who are super big, and you got the Rockets who go really small, and they play different type of styles. I want to see that matchup because I think the Rockets could get them. This is a Rockets team who now this pandemic thing worked in their favor. James Harden, who plays 40 minutes a game, Westbrook, who plays 40 minutes a game. They had all the rest in the world. They can go 100 miles per hour now on your neck. And if they're healthy, watch out for the Rockets.
I just hate the
And that's the one team that beats the Celtics ass constantly.
Maybe it's the new style of play and whatnot. They're going super small, no big, that I'm not used to. I don't know. And they always beat the Celtics. They're nice. I don't understand it because the thing with the Rockets is they're a two-man show. I mean, I guess you could say that about the Bucks in a sense, in terms of more like a one-man show.
It's just a style of play, man.
But they're one-man. Westbrook, Harden, just come down, isolation basketball. You know, if the isolation is not there, the Covington or Gordon in the corner for 3 and whatnot. But I hate their little isolation basketball. Fortunately for them, when they do this isolation basketball, you're talking about 2 MVPs and Harden and Westbrook who can get it done by themselves if need be. I hate watching that style of basketball. And as a Celtics fan, in the games we've had against them, I hate losing them. We've lost to them with this Westbrook and Harden, and then we've lost to them with the years was just Harden. And I just hate seeing it. In terms of playoffs and whatnot, yeah, Rockets will be in the playoffs, but because of who Harden and Westbrook are, especially Westbrook, they're not going to go far. I don't see them beating the Lakers. Yeah, they're 2 completely different styles, and somebody's going to get dominated. Somebody's going to get dominated because of that style. Maybe not every game, but there's going to be a couple of games where, like, oh my goodness, Rockets fast break points were off the charts. Or, oh my goodness, the Lakers rebounding really was the difference in that game. Like, there's going to be games like that we'll see if that series would have happened.
But I think you're disrespecting this Rockets team because you don't like the players, Mike.
I just don't think their style of basketball to me is not going to win. When it comes down to it, that two-man show of just give Harden the ball or give Westbrook the ball.
That's not how they play. It's not just a two-man show. With the small ball lineup is give Westbrook the lane down the court. If he doesn't have a bucket, he's passing it out and they move the ball. They're just quicker than everybody else right now. Like, they don't even care about rebounding because they're just going to throw shots up there, and they have the shooters to do it. And you add in an Austin Rivers coming off. I like the team, man. I like this team. Can they win a chip? I don't think they can win a chip because I don't think they're better than the Clippers.
Not better. The Clippers not better than the Lakers.
I think the Lakers. I think that they can give the Lakers the run for their money.
It'd be interesting to see how it play out. But we gotta talk Celtics, especially. We have to, unless there's some comments in there that I'm missing. We definitely gotta talk and how they've looked since they've been in the bubble. First and foremost, let's get this out the way. Celtics got two young killers on their team, in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And their killer instinct was put on display that game if you watched against the Portland Trailblazers, where it was a two-man show and those two guys went to work. Jaylen Brown, Tatum went to work against the Blazers. So that combination of those two guys right there is deadly. Then you add in a guy like Kemba Walker, who is on a minutes restriction. Again, I don't necessarily know why. Because coming from his mouth, this necessarily isn't a huge issue to him, but obviously it's a huge issue to the team, and they're taking it easy with him. But when he's on the court, and if you've seen in these games, I don't know how his stats look in the game against Miami right now, but in the first two games, in limited amount of action, he's put a solid amount of points. He looks fine. Then Hayward was also a guy who's been pretty solid in these games so far. So Celtics, I say this. I tweeted out before. I'll say it again here on our show. Celtics have a nice 6.5 man rotation that they can count on. 7.5 man rotation. 7.5 man. Because you have to start in 5. Kemba, Jaylen, Gordon, Tatum, Tice. Obviously, Smart's the 6th man off the bench. Obviously, Cantor's going to come off the bench. And then Brad Wanamaker is...
Brad's been playing good in the
Wanamaker's been solid. So I give him a nice, maybe 7.5, 8 man rotation that they have that they can rely upon.
Disappointing is Robert Williams.
I don't know if he's touched the court.
And before I used to get mad, like, yo, Brad, play Rob. But when he plays, the man is just lost in the sauce. We know how super athletic he is. It's just unfortunate that, he still hasn't got it. He's still going into his third year. I guess it's still his second, but defensively he doesn't understand the switches. He doesn't understand when to move, when it gets beat off the dribble. So I don't know how much we're gonna see of him in the playoffs. That's why you see Grant Williams get more minutes than him. When you see it on paper, you ask yourself why. But Grant Williams is a player who understands defenses and he understands when to pass the ball and when to move it. So Grant Williams has a good IQ in basketball. So that's why we see Grant over a Robert Williams, which is really unfortunate because he could help this team out tremendously.
Yeah, and I hate seeing Grant Williams come in the game. I don't know what he adds to the table. An undersized big man is what he is. And not Brad Stevens, excuse me. Danny Ainge just for some reason loves drafting undersized guys, undersized guards, undersized big men. It's very confusing to me. The problem is the Celtics don't have a solid bench to depend on. Like, I really look around at other teams in the league, and it's like after they get past their star players, they get to the bench. It's like, all right, at least they have a couple guys who can come in and they'll rebound. They'll try to go off the rebounds, or they'll be consistent guys who can knock down threes off in the corner or whatnot, or play solid defense. I look at the Celtics team and it's just like, once you get past that starting five and Smart and Cantor, I mean, you said Brad Wanamaker, sometimes he looks like, okay, nice solid backup point guard, and some days it's like, there's a reason why he's 30 years old and been playing in Turkey and Iceland and whatnot. Celtics just not deep enough this year. Like, they have the pieces in place, but I'll say this and I'll say it loud and clear. I keep saying Brad Steve, it's Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge has to do a better job in putting a deeper team around this young core. You're gonna definitely for sure have this core next year. I'm assuming Hayward is gonna opt into his contract, so you know for sure Kemba, Tatum, Brown, Smart, Hayward are gonna be there next year. What's gonna be around them to really help elevate this team? You can't sit here and tell me you're going to draft 5 guys again in the draft. Celtics don't need to draft a soul. Maybe 1, 2 players, sure. But, like, no more drafting 5 dudes in drafting Danny Ainge. What's the point? You want these stars to make a move and make some noise now, or you trying to wait for 2-3 years so they're supporting players behind them who are also 21 and 20 years old to develop? Nah, you got to try. And I know we've talked about this before. This is not an old league anymore where we can just go and get, veteran players who've been around. But there's guys in the league who've been in the league for a couple of years to know how to be a solid piece on a team that have the confidence to play basketball. So I think that's what this team needs to look like moving forward.
Yeah. With all that being said, Celtics are still top 5 talented team in
because they have their solid 5 who carry them.
And so I say that with saying, I don't want to hear no excuses from the Celtics. Like, this Celtics team should make it to the conference finals. With everything you just said, all the benches, that's fine. There's players in the Eastern Conference that are far off worse. They are far off worse. Celtics still have a legitimate championship caliber team.
It's not this year.
So I don't want to hear any excuses about if they get bounced in the first, they didn't have a bench, they get bounced in the second. And Jason DePina cut his hair. He's Jason Tatum now. He's back. Jaylen Brown has been balling. Kemba's the only key. Like, is Kemba going to be healthy enough? The fact that he's still on a minutes restriction is a little concerning. It's a little weird to me. The guy was off for 4 months. Why is that knee still an issue at this point?
That's confusing.
That's concern moving forward into the playoff. Can he be able to be a guy who can, when Jalen or Jason don't have it that night, Kemba's going to be the guy to drop 30 or 40.
Yeah.
He has the capability of doing it, and that's what I didn't see from Kemba this year in the regular season. There was nights where you can see, okay, Jason doesn't have it tonight. Okay, Jalen's really not doing it. It's got to be superstars. What superstars do? Superstars say, I got to take over. Give me the ball. And Kemba has that ability sometimes to say, hey, give me the ball. I'm going to drop 40 tonight. And I haven't seen him just have that mentality of saying, these young dudes don't have it. This is what they brought me in for. Let me get busy. Fourth quarter, I'm dropping 15, 16 straight points. I haven't seen him do that. I've even seen it from Brown. I've seen it from Tatum. We've seen Tatum what he did in February when he just takes over. Kemba has been, trying to find his spots, not trying to step on anybody's toes.
I think that's what it is.
And but there's times when the Celtics needed a guy to score, and you are a scorer, and he didn't provide that.
I see it as if he knew he was coming from a situation where he had to do that in Charlotte.
Right.
Where he came into the situation like, okay, I got these young guys and Taylor Brown plus Hayward in the sense where but where I don't need to take over like that. Like, he knows he has a capability, but maybe this season, a couple games, he hasn't really said he needs to tap into that Charlotte days. I agree with you. There's some games where he definitely needs to do that because these young guys sometimes don't have it. Which is the thing, I saw Derek ask, how far do we think the Celtics can go this season? My thing is, again, we just talked about, I saw Jay mention how bad the bench sucks. You need Tatum, Brown, Kemba, Hayward, and Smart, they all need to play damn near 35 to 40 minutes a game every night. If this team is like me personally, I'm like, all right, conference finals is realistic. Finals, they got to go off on some wild proportions. But like for them to really go far and deep into the playoffs, those guys who I just listed, we need. Where I'm talking close to 40 minutes a game. Like I know Brad Stevens sometimes gets conservative with minutes, and sometimes he likes to keep guys low minutes. If Brad Stevens really wants to see a team go far with the players that he has this year, those guys need to play heavy minutes. Now, again, if you move into next year, I'm not trying to jump the gun too much, where you can maybe get a solid bench where you can depend on and call upon, then those guys maybe don't need to play high 30 minutes and maybe mid to lower 30s, depending on who comes off the bench. But yeah, they're young. They can do it. So I'm saying, especially this year, those young guys who are 21, 22 years old, play them close to 40 to let's see what you can really get out of them in these young legs. Tatum and Brown showed they can combine for 60 points alone. Play them both 40 minutes a game.
Like I understand the bench is not great, but if you're talking about giving these dudes 35 minutes a game, the bench can come in and still provide.
Who? Semi Ojale?
When you play in the playoffs, it's not a 10-man rotation.
Okay, who?
When you play in the playoff, it is an 8-man rotation. That's what playoffs are.
So the starting five: Smart, Cantor, and
Wanamaker, and you shuffle whoever you want for the
Ojale and Romeo. Like
Ojale is gonna get minutes. You shuffle those dudes in, but you don't need to play them for 25, 30 minutes. Those dudes, when it comes to the playoffs, every team has a strict 8-man rotation. You just came in. You said they had 7.5. Run with it, Brad. Run with it.
He got to run them dudes into the ground.
I'm not using this bench thing as an excuse. I'm not accepting it.
Yeah. Jay saying 2 or 3, they have to be in at all time. Like no matter the lineup, especially
and Brad should be able to do that.
Like Tatum and Brown needs to be on the floor at all times. Like you started with the 5 and whatever you rotate it, Tatum or Brown needs to be on the floor, and then you can do Tatum and Hayward or Brown and Kemba, or you can flip it around whatever way you want to do it. But it's a must. Like out of those guys we just mentioned, Tatum, Brown, Kemba, and Hayward, 2 of those guys need to be on the court together at all times as you get into the playoffs. Then after that, I don't really care who you put around, but 2 of those guys need to be out there at all times.
And that's very possible, especially when you have a guy like Hayward who shows that he can take care of the playmaking capabilities.
Yes,
which helps tremendously because that puts Kemba, Smart, and Hayward as those dudes you put in there. Be like, if Jalen or Jason, whatever's like, all right, one of you 3, you guys are going to be the playmakers on the squad, and that helps a lot with having Gordon Hayward being that guy. So it can still work. Now, if we're going to talk about the Celtics and how they've looked in these past 3 games in this bubble as they're closing out this game right now in Miami, they haven't looked good. The Celtics have not looked good. They've looked exactly how they looked when the season was ending. We remember how great February was. Everyone wants to bring that up. Jason Tatum going off. Coming in March, that's when Kemba's knee was starting to get funky, and the Celtics started playing really bad. Going into this bubble here, the Celtics have been playing really bad. I understand they beat Blazers and they needed a heroic effort by Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, specifically Jaylen Brown in the 4th quarter to get the Celtics over the hump. But the Celtics haven't looked good. And the issue with me is they haven't looked good defensively. When you think about a Brad Stevens team and why the Celtics are always in games, defensively, they are on it. They know what the switches are. Jason Tatum, everyone's talking about how tremendous of a leap he's taken defensively. They haven't looked good defensively at all in these 3 games, and that's going to be an issue that they have 5 more games to correct going into the playoffs here, or it will be a short playoff run because this defense is bad.
Yeah, if you've got a chance to watch the Miami game, especially in the first half, Celtics defense, they couldn't keep up with the ball movement of the Miami Heat. Celtics can get buckets. Like them getting buckets ain't even a question. Celtics can get buckets.
Score.
They can score. But defensively is where they need to fix their issues. Again, like I just said, this Miami game, here on this Tuesday night, they struggled defensively. Portland, who they were blowing out by, I think, 24 points at one point, they got into that second half, and they just let Portland have their way and just score and hit threes on the perimeter. They were getting open shots and whatnot. Defensively, Celtics got to fix their issues because they'll get buckets. Tatum and Brown and Kemba and Hayward, they'll get their buckets. But if you can't slow a team down, then you're just talking about going and look at these games that the Celtics have been, especially these last two. It's like shootouts going down to the end.
Yeah.
Shootouts. In the shootout, you're talking about a game that you don't know which way it's going to go, depending on who gets the last shot or open shot or whatnot. You had Portland by 24. It shouldn't even have been that close. But defensively, that's what games will look like for you if that's how you're going to play. You want to score a lot, but you're going to let another team score a lot. It's going to come down to the wire like that and hope that you can have some heroics, like you said.
Yeah, so couple comments here on YouTube and on IG. So let's go on IG first real quick. J Max saying Brown and Tatum, they're going to ball. Smart and Hayward, those are the X factors. I'd say specifically Hayward. I think you know what you're getting out of Smart. You know defensively the energy he's going to bring. He's going to play hard. He's not going to cheat the game at any time. You're going to get his best effort. Hayward, 3 games in so far, he's been looking
early season Hayward.
Looking healthy early season Hayward. And if you can get that, you got to cross your fingers because it doesn't last long. If you can get that for a couple more months, you're going to be good money. Jay saying Tice is whack, terrible defensively. I think Tice helps this defense out a lot compared to what you have.
He can look soft at times. I can't lie. Depending on the matchup, he can look soft at times. Like, he's athletic. I'll give him that. But you could be athletic and still a little soft. Like, it's possible. Tatum's athletic, but he's soft sometimes.
Charming. Derek said bad pick and roll defense against Portland. Yeah, pick and roll defense has always. If you hear me talk about the Celtics, you always hear me say pick and roll defense has always been the Celtics' Achilles heel. I mean, you're talking about a team like Portland, Dame and Nurkic. That's just a combo where they're gonna kill you at all times. Celtics, Brad's got to figure something out here. You got to figure something out because you look at a Miami game, everyone's going to say, they had no Jimmy Butler. Like, how the hell did they lose? Without Jimmy Butler, that means the ball's always moving. Jimmy Butler is a guy who's going to beat you off of isolation and pound the rock. There was no Jimmy, so pretty much Miami's playing free. Pass, throw it into Bam, or pass, open. And they got shooters. Everyone knows Miami got some shooters. That boy Duncan Robinson is a problem.
This guy's a gunner.
He's becoming one of my favorite plays in the NBA. Duncan Robinson is a gunner. So Miami's going to be a tough beat in the playoffs. I don't think they're getting far, but they're going to be a team that you're gonna have to. If it was a 5 or 6 game series, every game is a close one. They're going to be a tough beat. So Celtics really need to sharpen up on defense. I'm not worried about the offensive outputs. I think that at times Jason is being a little soft offensively. I want him to do more. We were speaking about it earlier. Jalen's tougher. When he gets the ball, you feel it. Sometimes when Jason's in the game and he's not going, you forget that he's in the game. So, get Tatum going, get his rhythm going, and I think Celtics are going to be all right offensively. But defensively, they got to get back on track.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the Celtics' bread and butter, defense.
Yeah,
like
Brad has to tap into that with the team. Brad Smart's gonna, Smart is gonna do his thing. That's gonna be a very interesting game. Blazers versus Rockets. Smart's gonna do his thing. But you have to tap into defense out of the rest of those guys. I keep hearing about Jalen. He's a great two-way player. Like, I think he has another level he could probably get to defensively. Obviously, we've seen the offensive game take a huge leap, which is great, But like you said, since Brad Stevens has been in the league as a head coach, you know, we've seen some of the early successful teams, those dummy teams that he had for as a Celtics roster, were very good defensively. You know, they might not have any star players, maybe Isaiah Thomas or whatnot, but you certainly getting solid defense out of those teams. Now in these last couple of years, Brad is getting teams that are more offensively, you know, the offensive mindset is high, but the defense kind of lacks. Once Brad can get a team that can give you the best of both worlds,
I mean, any team could get the best of both worlds. Go to the chip, but even prior, I feel like this Celtics team were doing all right defensively. 3 games in, though, we're just going off of what we're seeing. Celtics are currently 1-2 in the bubble at the moment, and I don't know who's their next matchup.
I don't know who they face next. That's a good question. But you know, right now, since these games, you lost the first one, won the second one, you lost the third one. Obviously, in a sense, these games don't matter. I mean, there's still a chance. I feel as if Celtics can drop out of the 3rd seed. I think
that's crazy.
Miami's 4th.
They were supposed to lock up this 3rd.
This was a big game, you know, for both teams in a sense. You know, Celtics trying to lock up the 3rd seed, and Miami's still trying to battle to get there. So there's a chance Celtics could drop out of that 3rd position. Just flip flop of win loss. Like you got to figure it out. You know, so got to find some kind of rhythm and consistency. You know, obviously we want to see Kemba play a full game without any restrictions, and not being out when the game's on the line down the stretch. But still, games to be played in these seeding matchups before the playoffs get started. One thing we do know for sure: Celtics.
Nets tomorrow, back to back.
You got to smack the Nets. You got to smack the Nets.
Nets play tough, beating Milwaukee.
I don't
today.
Yeah, and I heard Milwaukee sat Giannis and Chris Middleton the second half. But Celtics got to smack the Nets Wednesday night.
Absolutely, that's a great way to get your confidence back up.
For real. Quick other topics if we could switch it up. You know, we've talked a lot of basketball. You know, like we said in the beginning of the show, sports is back, which includes the MLB, Major League Baseball. But even though they're back and in full swing, teams are coming down with wild cases of COVID. I'm not talking about, you know, 1-2 player, you know, needs to step away from the team, quarantine, whatnot. Marlins, Phillies, I believe. I don't know if I'm missing another team, but I'm talking about like over 10 plus positive tests on these teams.
No bubble.
Where, you know, not a couple players have to step away when the game goes on. They're canceling games. They're canceling series. You got teams refusing to go play other teams because they're like, we don't want to be nowhere near them. I'm hearing somewhere that maybe it was a conversation we were having earlier, but somebody told me that a player on Sundays, one of these teams were in the casino somewhere, partying. What are you doing in the casino? Gambling, whatnot. In the casino, doing whatever, and he's on one of these teams that came down with the virus.
God.
So, like, it's crazy to think, you know, the MLB is trying to hold on. I feel like they're holding on by a thread right now, to keep things going without having to shut down. And the commissioner has warned it, like, yo, if things keep going this wild, we might have to look into shutting down. I know he doesn't want that because it's going to be a bad look, but MLB's looking real shaky right now, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna say? Shut it down. This is not good. You're putting families at risk here. You're putting families at risk. And Derek come out saying that MLB wants to do a bubble with the players. Yeah, they voted. The players voted on it and said not. And now you're seeing what the repercussions are. There's a potential you're gonna lose out money now because you didn't want to do a bubble, and this season could be a wash. It's unfortunate, but I don't understand how else you can do it. Which brings me to another topic here. Still kind of the same, but a little different. Mike, I found out the solution to how NFL could work. I found the solution. We was talking a little bit about it last week, saying like, yo, if the NFL's watching what's going on in MLB here, they gotta switch some things up here, the flights and everything. You know, last week we proposed they might have to do their own bubble in the city that they're in, and they have to stay in a hotel or things like that. I still like that aspect. But one thing the NFL might do, and this is going to be unpopular, but if you want to have a season, you have to change the schedule up. There cannot be any games where you are crossing like east-west borders. Meaning, there should not be a Patriots-Oakland game. So Oakland can't come all the way out to New England, and New England can't fly out all the way to Oakland. You switch this whole schedule up, scratch it, keep it, use it for next year. And there's a possibility that if you got to play the Bills 3 times, you might have to play the Bills 3 times. But you're going to face teams near your conference where you can play them on Sunday and leave that Sunday evening. You're not staying over in a hotel so you can fly out the next day because it's right locally. You play them at 1 p.m. By 6, 7 p.m., you guys are already back on the flight back home to where you need to be. So you're not staying in hotels. You're not seeing a lot of people and things like that. I think that is the safest way you can do it. No conference traveling. You having San Francisco versus Miami Dolphins. None of that. There's going to be a couple of Buccaneers versus Dolphin games. But that's how it's going to have to be if you really want to keep things safe, no traveling across borders. What do you think about that proposal? I know it's unpopular, but what do you think about that?
I mean, I don't think anybody want to face the Bills 3 times or anything like that. Look, I think we all, as fans, obviously we don't have a big say, but the NFL honestly needs to be open to some kind of change right now. What I'm not saying what you're proposing is right or wrong or good or bad, but the NFL has to be open to something, because just trying to go about it right now, regular season, just get right into. So far, the only thing they've done is cancel preseason games.
It's not going to last.
And what you're saying makes sense. Teams traveling across the country or having to travel somewhere and stay a night or two because of the time they arrived and whatnot. Something about that has to, in these current times, that cannot work. Point blank, period. During these current times, it can't work. It can't be just regular, let's just go across the country. We're going to stay here. We're going to get in early Saturday. That way we're here Saturday night. We got the game Sunday evening or whatever. Then we'll leave Monday morning. Nah. Because I'm telling you, I'm sorry, but some of these players are going to be like, yo, we here LA for the night. Yo, what's the word? Like, I'm out somewhere. We about to hit the strip. We're doing something. Like some players are going to have that mindset. We're seeing it now. Some players are stepping out doing different things. Should they be doing
throwing mansion parties,
throwing parties in Cali, going to the casino? Should you be doing that, knowing that you're going to be in an environment around other players and people, and you're not just alone and whatnot? No, but not everybody's smart. Not everybody's using their brain and thinking. So it's just the reality of the situation, and that NFL has to find a way. Obviously, again, players are going to do their own thing in a sense, but just as the league trying to control the situation as best as possible, doing something similar to what you proposed, or just figuring out something different. It can't just be regular season, 16 games, 17, whatever run of games, and it's all going to be fine and dandy. Nah, can't work. So sorry.
You can't, man. And the fact that we're in August and there's no proposed plan, it's unfortunate. See what's here. Derek saying, I think the NFL got 12 games max. Derek said, the NFL's not doing that, Marv. Look, I understand. It's a crazy idea. I understand that there's no way they can just switch up the schedule right now. But I'm also saying, I'm thinking of something. And I don't think my idea is that crazy.
It's not.
If you don't want to play teams 3 times, just play teams all in the Eastern Coast where you can travel quickly, in and out. If you got to switch up and play Cleveland, all right, we're leaving Sunday morning, bang, bang, and we out of there. But, hey, man, that's just an idea that I put out there. If you guys see anybody else say it, You heard it here first.
Yeah, Marv. So I'm gonna give Marv the direct line to Goodell, so we can see if this plane can be in motion in any way, shape, or form.
Dirk said that it's business as usual for Roger and the owner, so don't waste my time.
Not gonna work. Not gonna work, but we'll see. Man, anything else, Marv? You want to like so much you could talk about the sports in terms of teams and how things are looking. You know, obviously we'll dive into the NFL more depending on how they go, but
It's I'm concerned, man. I'm concerned about every single league other than NBA and NHL, because NHL's doing a bubble system as well. I'm concerned, and because this thing is not going away.
it is not.
It's not going away. We're seeing how bad leadership in America, if you catch my drift, I can't even speak. If you catch my drift, bad leadership in America is why we are in the situation where we are in right now.
Yeah.
You think we could learn from that and, you know, do something better, Roger? And like the reason why we are still stuck and people are saying that phases gotta go back to things shutting down, businesses, 15,000 restaurants have closed down, this, that, that. It's because of bad leadership. People not understanding the severity of what's happening. Why are we waiting to react? Why are we waiting to react? Like, react now. The oldest cliche slogan thing in the book is better safe than sorry. We've heard that all our lives. You would think that would apply right now. Better safe than sorry. Do everything you can to keep everyone safe, so we don't have to apologize later, or we don't have to lose lives later, or put people in harm's way. Like, this is real life, man. This is real life. People are still dying out here.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think I don't have those countries off the top of my head, but there's certain places in the world who I wouldn't necessarily say have gone completely back to normal,
in a way better situation,
but they're in a way better situation right now than we are here in the U.S. You know, again, I don't have those countries off the top of my head. If anybody in the comments has those, drop them. But maybe like Italy or something. Like, there's places that have found some sense of like normalcy in how they're living right now. But here in the U.S., you know, people are in a sense still doing their own thing. Like, there's nothing out there right now.
I mean, we see here in Massachusetts, you know, we just got the letter per se that if you leave here to go to a state that's high risk, you better quarantine for 14 days or you are getting fined $500 a day.
Every day you don't quarantine,
you are getting fined $500. Like, so this is where we are. This is where we are now. Do 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 do.
This is really the theme song of the show here.
Anybody else living in the COVID 19? Oh man,
it's time for this thing to end.
Please. It needs to end. But like I said, I'm not mad that throughout the day, while I'm working from home, I can turn on the TV at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And there's a sport game on.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Like I said, man, I want sports. I want it. I like sports. I grew up on sports. I do.
Do you need it?
But I don't need it. I don't need it.
Dirk saying 2021, hopefully.
Everyone's saying 2021. The way we're moving,
we get late into the year. It look like we were regressing right now.
8 months into the year, like,
we couldn't possibly be regressing right now.
2021. I can hope as well, but we need a new leader. We need someone who's gonna shut things down for a bit so we can get in the clear.
But you know, while we go through everything, whether it's sports, whether it's stuff happening in the entertainment world, the media world, the music world, movies, whatever.
Got a topic for next show.
We're gonna be here for. Give us a little preview. What you got?
Got a topic for. So we're talking about 2021. Hopefully, some people are doing the right thing right now. Some people are really sheltered in place, keeping their distance.
Mm-hmm.
For the single people out there, sheltered in place, keeping their distance. How hard is it right now for people who are single during these quarantine times, who are probably looking for that special person, but just can't right now, longing for something or someone, but just can't do it during this pandemic times?
It's an interesting topic. Interesting topic indeed. And I can't wait to get plenty of people's thoughts, ideas, and opinions on that. Good topic to have for next show.
Yes, sir.
Marv, it's been another in-home edition, Double M.
Just when we think we might get to the studio, who knows? Who knows if we're going back to the studio till maybe 2021?
Not a clue. Not a clue.
Man.
But
everyone who's tuned in on the book,
Facebook,
IG, YouTube. Thank you for taking time out your day to be here with us.
Yeah,
and have great conversation. Sports heavy Double M show as sports are ramping back up. But we appreciate you guys. We appreciate everything you do. We appreciate the comments, and you guys know where to find us next week.
Right here.
Double M, Mike Nice, DJ Mees. We outie.